this fourth section, I will cover the underlying dynamics of confidence and fear, so that you can build a framework for understanding how to create a carefree state of mind when you trade. Okay, the next section that we're going to get into is exploring the dynamics of confidence and fear. In other words, what was from this morning and just a little while ago, not so much a little while ago, but especially from this morning, what's the primary problem? Why do we have so much of a problem, or what creates the problem in a trade-by-trade perspective? In other words, if I'm looking at the market, if my technical indicator gives me a signal to buy right now, okay, if I'm not predefining my risk, if I'm hesitating, if I'm jumping the gun, if I put my trade on and I want to move my stop, what is it that's going on right now? What's compelling me to make these kinds of errors? Fear. And what's behind the fear?
The possible negative mistakes that we've made in the past.
Okay, but that's good. Yeah, because you don't want to get tapped into being wrong, losing, missing out, all that pain. But remember, I said what was a universal characteristic of all humanity in terms of how we feel about our expectations being fulfilled?
Satisfaction.
Well, yeah, no, when they are. But what I'm saying is that it's because I'm expecting this trade to work. Okay, I want you guys got to get this, okay? The reason why I'm having a problem is because I'm expecting this trade to work. This trade. It's not because I'm thinking that I've got a series of trades. Remember the pattern with flipping the coin? The pattern is that if I've got an edge, I'll give you another example. Let's say that I've got a coin that's weighted heavier on the tail side, so that it's going to come up on a percentage basis 65% of the time heads. And I get someone to take the other side of a bet where I get to call the flip every time. What am I going to do? Am I going to try to determine when tails is going to... 35% of the times tails is going to come up. I'm going to call heads every time. That's a pattern, okay? The way it relates here is that I've got a technical methodology that gives me winning trades, let's say 65% of the time. I don't know which of the next 20 trades or 25 trades that come up, I don't know which ones are going to be the winners and which ones are going to be the losers. If I'm going to trade my methodology appropriately, it really obligates me to take every single trade. I can't be picking and choosing my trades based on what I think is going to happen, because hopefully I've already established you don't know. And if you think you know, you're just making it up in your own mind. I'm going to repeat that. If you think you know, you're just making it up. Is everybody all right with what I just said?
Yes.
And so it obligates me to take every single trade that comes up, because I don't know which ones are going to be the winners and which ones are going to be the losers. It means that if I'm having problems, it's because I have a certain expectation about this trade, or about this trade, or about this one. So what if I'm expecting a random outcome? What if I change my expectations? Will I feel differently about it? If I change my expectations, will I feel differently about it?
Definitely.
Is there anybody in this room? Does anybody who trades? Let's put it, I don't think I've ever met anybody who trades who hasn't at least gambled at some point in their lives. Right? What do you expect when you put money into a slot machine and push the button?
Goodbye.
Good. Well, one of those answers was goodbye. I like that. What else? Loud. If anybody's going to say anything. What are you expecting? Really? On this one? Seriously. What do you expect? You know what you're expecting? You're expecting something to happen, right? You're expecting the wheels to turn. You're expecting something to show up. Now think about what I'm just saying. Because you know what? What I just said is exactly what I expect when I put on a trade. I'm expecting something to happen. I don't know what. But over a series of trades, if I do everything right, I'll make money. Because I'm managing my expectations on each one of these trades. I'm managing my expectations so that I do not have the potential to define and interpret these up and down ticks, the information the market gives me, in some sort of threatening or painful way. Because what I'm going to tell you, what we're going to get into now, is the effects of that. When you put money... What's that?
How realistic, then, is that 65% on your methodology?
What do you mean, how realistic?
It could be 70 or 80 or 50.
Go ahead. No, take the microphone.
How realistic is a 65% win ratio on your methodology?
I'm not understanding the question. How realistic is it?
Well, if you can't go by any individual specific trade, but you say over 20 trades, you can say you expect to win 65% of the time.
Correct. They're based on past performance.
Okay, but then again, looking at over any individual 20 or 50 sample, how realistic is maybe that 65% saying that that's a real number?
I'll find out. I don't know. I don't know. How will I know? How could I know? I'll find out. That's why you trade in sample sizes that are limited. In other words, I don't make an assessment of how well it's working until after the end of a sample size. If at the end of a sample size I get a high enough percentage of winning trades where I'm satisfied, then I'll take another sample size. If I don't, then I'll find ways to tweak my indicators to improve my results. So if you're to say, how realistic is it, I have no idea of knowing what's going to happen in the future. And when you get right down to it, it is possible. Would it not be possible for me to start a sample size that trade one and end up where every single one of them was a loser? Am I going to know that in advance? And see, and that's where paper trading is so critical, is that by paper trading, you will get a realistic assessment as to how well your edge works. And people have no problem paper trading. They'll paper trade to find out if their methodology works and to gain confidence in it. It's the other part that they won't participate in, meaning that they won't take a similar exercise to see how well their own psychology matches up to what they need to do to be consistently successful. In other words, to set up an exercise. Paper trading is an exercise, is it not? It's an exercise in developing skills, in understanding your methodology, is it not? So wouldn't it be just as reasonable to set up an exercise to learn how to execute properly, so you manage your expectations?
What do you consider a proper sample size?
20, 25 trades. I don't think it has to be more than that. I really don't. If it's not working within 25 trades, then there's something you're going to have to change.